My addiction story begins the same way many others do, using drugs to cope with and help manage the daily demands of life. My drug use history spans on and off from 2007 to 2019 when I used pills as a means of self-medication. In the spring of 2017, I began researching ways to make detoxing at home more tolerable. I knew at this point it was time for me to get sober because I was slowly losing everything. Unfortunately, I still wasn't at that point where I was ready to admit and tell someone I needed help. What I found was that many opiate users were consuming this specific medication to make detoxing easier and to lessen the withdrawal symptoms. However, this began an addiction that trapped me in silence and shame for over 2 years. By 2019, I was consuming anywhere between 150 to 200 pills per day in order to produce the same effect and lessen the withdrawal symptoms. Although I had stopped taking opiates, I was now addicted to this medication because the same detox symptoms I was trying to avoid with the opiates now was showing up in this medication. Due to the shame and secretive nature of my new addiction, rather than purchasing the medication out of pocket, I began shoplifting from various local retailers. Shoplifting began a lifestyle for me. My days were now fixated on strategizing which store I was going to hit up in order to get my dose for the day. This shoplifting lifestyle caught up with me eventually. My life would eventually go from once obtaining a master's degree in criminal justice in 2006 to being smacked with a state prison sentence of 2 to 4 years in 2019. Throughout my years of addiction and legal proceedings, I was my own worst enemy. I was so good at manipulation that I even convinced myself that I was one of the good criminals, as if such a person ever even existed. I worked every day. I had 2 successful student athletes for children, a decent family, and I was well educated. I deceived myself into believing that my behaviors and crimes were justified and I was going to do what I needed to do to get by and not to get high. God was letting me know that this 2 to 4 year imprisonment meant my secret was no longer my secret and it was time to come clean to everyone to get the help that I so desperately needed. So after spending over 2 months in prison, by the grace and mercy of God, my state sentence was in fact overturned and I was court ordered to Peniel to complete 13 months of long-term treatment and begin this newfound journey to freedom from more than just prison walls on February 26, 2020. This month will mark 5 years since I walked through the doors at Peniel, and I have never looked back. It was at Peniel where I learned that I was a child of God and I was forgiven and I didn't have to continue through life in shame and condemnation. I didn't have to hide anymore. Peniel broke down walls and barriers that I had built throughout the course of my life, trying to do things my way while pretending to have it all together. I am proud to say that with God's strength, I took all of my experiences and now use them to help so many others like myself. When you walk through the entrance doors of Peniel, right there on the wall, it reads, "At last there is hope." Just like myself, when I walked through those doors, a hopeless and lost person, God has now equipped me with the wisdom to talk to others who are just as hopeless and lost as I once was. Working in admissions, I had been blessed with a front row seat of the countless of other lives who have been restored. I get to see firsthand those in addiction come through our doors hopeless and over the course of treatment transform into hopeful. If there's anyone watching this video, I hope that you know that there is still hope and a future after addiction.